Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Gayle Carson. Welcome to Living Regret Free, a program that shows you how to live a better and more joyful life. As an added bonus, I invite you to listen to an introduction to my Mindset Matters program, which ties into this so well. Go to www.sobmindset.com. It's free, and I know you will enjoy it. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at gaylecarson13@gmail.com or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter.
Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Gayle Carson, SOB, Spunky Old Broad, and I am your guest today. We're trying something new. We're starting out this month with doing solo practitioners on each of my genres. So I will be doing a show on living regret-free, solo, and my women in business show and my SOB show. So this is our living regret-free show. And those of you who've been listening to my interviews over the years know how passionate I am about living regret-free. And especially now, I'm going through, most of you know, many of you may not, I'm going through my fourth case of breast cancer. And this one has really been a doozy. I have been fighting this for over 30 years. I've had now 18 surgeries and scheduled for an endoscopy shortly next week or the week following, and just going through one thing after another. But the whole point of my bringing this up to you, because I've had daily nausea and I am throwing up not because I want to, but because I just do, I still live regret-free. So how am I doing that? And I want to give you my philosophy. Some of you know it. Some of you have heard me talk about this before. But I think it's important for you to realize and understand why and how. And as I record this particular session, I think I'm in my 60-some week of self-isolation. And I always kid and say my car is permanently pointed towards the hospital because that's the only place I go. But in reality, I'm not depressed. I am not a depressed kind of person to begin with. And I do have a wonderful kitty cat who does keep me normal and sane. But I do have to tell you, I think it is the way you look at things that makes a difference. So as you've heard before, and as I've said many times, I prefer going to bed with a smile on my face and getting up with a smile on my face. And it gets harder every day because of what I'm going through and because of different meds that they put me on. But I tell you what I do. I don't listen to the news at 11 o'clock at night. I don't listen to anything that's not happy before I go to bed. I specialize in the Hallmark Channel because all of their movies and their programming is so positive. So one of the things that I really preach is going to bed happy and getting up happy. Now, in order to get up happy, that means you have to have a well-rested night, which means that you have to have good, solid sleep. And that's gotten harder for me because I do get up many times during the night. However, when you go back to sleep, if you go back to sleep quickly and without all kinds of other pressures, you can still wake up and be very happy when you do. Now, let's talk about what goes on in your day. As you know, I do these radio shows, but I also coach people. I also mentor people. I also volunteer for my professional organizations. And I love doing all of that. And because I love it and because it's meaningful to me, I enjoy my day. Now, think about that. For example, I'll take a weekend. I used to get so much work done on a weekend. I would work 8 hours, like very often nonstop. Now, if I'm feeling sick or if I don't feel well, I have to lie down. And once I lie down, especially with my kitty Ellie by my side, I may not wake up for 2 or 3 hours. It puts a crimp in how much I get done. But guess what? Everything that needs to get done does get done. So let's talk about what your day is like. How do you spend it? What are you doing that pleases you? What are you happy about? Now, I talk a lot about stress, and I say the amount of stress is the wear and tear on your body, and that is exactly what it is. One of the things that I have just started doing is getting massages. Now, for all of my 80-some years, I have never wanted massages. I've never liked them. I never wanted them. I never was called to them. But I started getting really bad pains in my leg, both in my sciatic nerve and in my groin area. And so I started getting massages. I've only had 3 so far, but what it has done for the pain is amazing. It has gone away. And so when we talk about stress being the amount of wear and tear on your body, it really is. So I have to ask you, who are the stressors in your life? Who are the people that are causing you this wear and tear? And you know that you have them. Now, I just have decided I've eliminated all these people out of my life. Now, you might say, easy for you to say, Gayle, but it hasn't been easy. But there are just people who are naysayers. These are people who want to drag you down. Some of them don't even know they're doing it. Some of them do it on purpose. And one of the things that I tell people to do is every time you get what I call a in your life, that's a stressor. And as you recognize who these people are, start writing down their names. Start writing down the circumstances that you find yourself in when you experience this. And you're going to find some amazing things. First of all, it's the same people over and over again. It's not a lot of different people who are stressing you out. It's the same people over and over again. It's not a lot of situations that stress you out. It's the same kind of situations that stress you out. And so if you stop putting yourself into the circumstances where you experience these particular kind of situations, if you stop going out with these people who cause you stress, if you stop communicating with them by phone or by text or by email or however you do, you're going to find that your stress is lessened. So one of the things that you have to know how to do is to reduce the stress. Now, you know, when you have too much stress, that's burnout. Burnout is when you have too much stress happening in your life. And we don't want any of you to get to that point. So when you've eliminated these stress sores in terms of people, when you have eliminated these stress sores in terms of circumstances, you're left with a pretty good day. Now, this does not mean you don't have issues, that you don't have problems. You're not living in a dream world. You're not living in fantasy land. Things are going to happen to you. And things happen to me all the time. One of the things is dealing with the nausea that I have. One is dealing with the effects of the meds. One of this is what cancer is doing to my body. I am now at the weight that I was in high school. I'm 104 pounds. I haven't been 104 pounds in, 60 years, at least 70 years. So the point is, all of this is something that I don't control. It's what is happening to my body. But I do control my mind. I do control how I think. I do control who I associate with. I do control who I listen to. All of those things do make for a more pleasant day. Now, what happens is, remember those that I was telling you about? We all experience 100 of those a day. Really, it's about 3,000 a month. Now, it might be a little less now because we're not going out as much, or we're not traveling as much, or, we're not in the workplace as much. But normally you have about 100 a day. And that could be red lights. It could be people cutting you off in traffic. It could be a number of things. But you need to understand that those are things that you don't control. They're things that happen to you. So what are your stress busters? Now, one of my stress busters are my animals. Now, I'm down to one cat right now. And you've got to remember, this is a gal that when I was raising 3 children, I had 3 kids, 5 dogs, and 3 cats. It was a total zoo, but I loved it. I loved it because, I love animals. So I was in my element. But I was also working long, hard hours because I had my own business. And I was growing my business. I grew it from one tiny office to 7 offices and 350 people. That was quite something to manage. But on the other hand, I loved what I did every single day. So animals are one thing for me. Another thing are the books you might choose to read. The third thing are the people that you associate with. The fourth thing are hobbies that you might cultivate. The fifth thing are good deeds that come into your life that you want to practice even more and more. There's a lot of things that you can do to be active in stress reduction. My biggest thing is loving what I do, having an animal to love it with, and being in full company of those people who are in my life. So when we talk about these abrasive incidents, you're not going to get rid of them. You're not going to find that they leave you alone just because you're doing all these wonderful things. That's not what it's all about. What it's all about is the factor that you have got to learn to manage your stress. So when we talk about living regret-free, I want those of you, you heard about journaling. I know you know what journaling is. There are gratitude journals, which at the end of the day, you can write down what are the good things that happen to you. You can even keep it during the day and write down as good things happen to you in your gratitude journal, because we have a tendency to forget the good things that happen to us and remember only the bad things that happen to us. But you can write down in your gratitude journal the things and the people that you are most grateful and happy for. That's something that you can do. The other thing that you might be able to do is to think of the feeling that you get when these wonderful things happen to you. Now, I was interviewing someone earlier today who talked about people who would live in their victimhood. And I have to tell you, as a coach to women especially, and I specialize in women 50 plus, I have many coaching clients who are still carrying baggage from their parents who haven't even been alive for the last 10, 20 years. You can't continue to hold that baggage in your mind and in your view and not be considered a victim. Your parents did the best they could, and even if they didn't do the best they could, you are not responsible for what happened to you. You are responsible for how you react to what happened to you and how you are dealing with what happened to you. So when we talk about these things, I think that's one of the reasons I've had an easier part of dealing with all of this, because I was raised in a really loving family. My mom was really strict. My dad was not, but he was just there as a support. But my mom was really good. And I always laugh because I always say my sister was the white sheep and I was the black sheep of the family. And I always said the black sheep always had more fun. But my sister was just very good. She excelled in everything she did. She's got a genius IQ, and she just was always very, very good about everything she did because she had to be. She had allergies. And back then in those days, they had no way of controlling those allergies except with shots. So she could not go outside and play because she would just be miserable. Whereas I was out there like a tomboy, climbing trees, playing football, doing everything you can imagine. And yet I was girly in terms of I was always making up dances. I was always making up performances. I was always creating, especially in the summer months, when it was warm, we would have the sprinkler going, and I would create all these wonderful dances, through the sprinkler system and so forth. But my mom knew the difference of how far she could let me go and how much I could get away with. But I still remember, for example, in my freshman year of college, when I was miserable and I didn't want to stay at the college where I was and I wanted to transfer, and my mother said to me, you have to stick it out for the year. At the end of the year, you can go wherever you want, but you must stick it out for this year. And I was miserable, but I did it. My sister came to where I was. She was getting her master's degree. I lived with her, which made it more palatable. And at the end of the first year, I transferred. So, it's all these different things that go into making you live a regret-free life. And so when I talk about these things, I can't emphasize enough how important knowing who your stressors are, what are the triggers that just turn you on. You are going to be miserable. You are going to lash out. You are going to be unhappy. What are those triggers? And you know them. You know them as well as you know your own name. But it's up to you to deal with them the best way you can. So let's go back over some of these things. We know that stress is the amount of wear and tear on your body, which is not good. It's not healthy. We know there are people that you bring into your life who cause you this stress, and yet you continue to do it because you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and you don't want anyone to feel badly about you, and you don't want to eliminate these people out of your life. But that's exactly what you have to do, unless, and let's face it, there are family members that you have to deal with that you can't get rid of, but they're there around you, and that's the way it's going to be. And then you have to look at those stressful situations. What are those situations that are causing you to go off the handle or go off the deep end? What are those stressing situations that make you think, wow, did I really deserve this? Did I really deserve to be talked to like that? Did I really deserve to have those things happen to me? I remember, situations with my spouse, with my husband, who I love dearly, and who, we had a wonderful 45-year marriage before he passed away. But there were times, when he was on his meds that he got combative. And I would say to him, I don't deserve to be talked to like this. And then he would apologize and he would realize what he'd done. But that's what happens to all of us. I get testy too, and I lash out too. I try not to do it as often as I used to, but it happens to all of us. So we need to be aware of this, and we need to be a part of what is going on and what is happening. We also need to think about what can we include in our life that would make it happy for us, that would make it positive for us. And isn't it interesting that something we've done for 10 years, for 20 years, very often for 30 years, all of a sudden doesn't hold the same passion for us, doesn't hold the same interest for us. One of the things that I have had to come to terms with is that, remember now, I am a professional speaker. I have spoken in 50 countries, folks, and 49 states. And I have discovered that I'm not going to do that anymore. I am booked for a speech come September that we were supposed to do a year ago, March. But that's the only speech I have on my books. Why? Because they're not looking for somebody who's 83. They're not looking for someone who's going through cancer. They're not looking for someone who isn't between 25 and 50. That's the age range now that they're booking. So I have had to come to terms with the fact that I no longer will be doing probably stage speaking. Will I be doing digital speaking? Will I be part of breakout sessions? Will I be part of summits? You bet I will. Will I be interviewed on podcasts? Of course. Will I continue to do TV digitally? Yes, I will. But in terms of live stage speaking, I will not. So therefore, I have developed online courses. And I'm hoping all of you will go to my sobuniversity.com site. That's where I have my online courses. And I have courses on television. I have courses on living life with gusto. I have courses on mindset. I even have a course on finding love after 50. There's a whole bunch of courses there that you can take advantage of, because I know that online courses is where it's going to be for me from now on. I have not lost my ability to teach. I have not lost my insatiable quest for knowledge. I'm always studying, so I'm always creating new courses. But that's a part of where I am at this particular point. So my thing for you today in Living Regret-Free and how you can help Dr. Gayle, SOB, is to go to my SOB University site. and see the courses that I have. Go to my store. If you go to my website, spunkyoldbroad.com, the store is there. I've got great mugs for you to use to have your coffee or tea, or even to use as pencil holders if that's what you want. But they've got great sayings, and if you see them on your desk, and I have one on my desk right now that says, don't chase your dream, live your dream. That's important, because it's important not to just chase dreams, but to live them. So there's a store there. I have clothing, Spunky Old Broad t-shirts, leggings, caps, all kinds of different things. So there's just a whole bunch of ways that you can experience the living regret-free lifestyle, both by taking courses from me, by also, buying our merchandise, looking at the SOB on your desk or on your own being if you buy one of our t-shirts or leggings. But the whole point of it is, this is your chance to learn how to live regret-free. And if there's anything that I can ask of you to do, it's to eliminate the stressors in your life, whether they are people, whether they are situations, whatever they are. I want you all to live a stress-free life. I want you all to go to bed with a smile on your face. I want you all to get up with a smile on your face. I want you all to live a day of happiness and joy and love what you're doing all day long. I don't care whether you're in business or not. If you can say, this has been a great day, then you are living your day with passion and with joy and with happiness. And that's what it's all about. So that's a part of what I really wanted to say on my initial broadcast of Living Regret-Free. We'll have a lot of other messages as we go through this every month. But I think if you don't live a stress-free life, if you don't eliminate the stressors in your life, you can't go to bed happy. You can't get up happy. You can't have a smile on your face. And one of the things that people always ask me when they know how many countries I've worked in, well, what did you find in the people that you met when you went there? Well, I found that when you greeted them with a smile and you greeted them with a positive attitude, that they did the same back to me. I never had a bad experience. Maybe some of the travel experiences weren't good, but I never had a bad experience with the people I met, because they were all so wonderful to me. I got invited into their homes for dinner. I got taken to places many of you would not even have seen. I did speeches in castles. Some of you have always wanted to visit a castle. I got to give a speech in a castle, believe it or not. So, in fact, that was the only time my husband ever heard me talk. He had never heard me give a speech, but he liked to eat dinner, and they told him they wouldn't feed him unless he listened to my speech. So he listened to my speech, and that was the one and only time. And it was so cute. Afterwards, he said to me, you were good. So I thought that was kind of an interesting time, too. So anyway, I hope that you go to my website, spunkyoldbroad.com. We've got a lot of things there for you. We've got a lot of free articles for you that you can pay attention to and look at and read. And, folks, since I'm doing these solo broadcasts, one every month, if there is something that you would like me to cover in this Living Regret-Free portion, email me at gailcarson13@gmail.com. Let me know what you'd like to hear, what you'd like to have me cover, what you'd like to have me do, and all of that will be a part of the forthcoming shows that we do in the future, because there's a lot more to cover in Living Regret-Free. And someone once said to me, you can't make money talking about joy and happiness. And I don't agree. I think that there's a lot that you can do, that you can really have a lot to do with people who can show you how to live a better life and do more important things. So for those of you that are tuning in to me right now, this is Gayle Carson, Dr. Gayle, SOB, Spunky Old Broad, signing off and saying, thank you so much for experiencing Living Regret-Free with me and learning about the stressors and stresses in your life so that you can live a better one, a happier one. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. I choose my guests carefully, so if you have someone you'd like me to interview, please drop me a line at gaylecarson13@gmail.com. In the meantime, check out my intro program, Mindset Matters, at www.sobmindset.com. See you next week. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. I choose my guests carefully, so if you have someone you'd like me to interview, please drop me a line at gaylecarson13@gmail.com. In the meantime, check out my intro program, Mindset Matters, at www.sobmindset.com. See you next week.